Hi, this is Michael Becker. And in this Mastering Tinderbox lesson, I wanted to share with you a file that was inspired by a post that was made by a forum member, a Tinderbox forum member today, Tim Nevis. And the problem that Tim had is he wanted to figure out how to export a single HTML page out of Tinderbox that had internal links in it to other Tinderbox notes. And he was running into some problems. So let me go ahead and show you the experience that we came up with. So here's the post that Tim made about 20 hours ago, as you see, and it says single HTML page. So what he wants to do is to be able to export out of Tinderbox a single HTML page. But what he was experiencing was when he exported the page, Tinderbox would export or configure the links within the page as a relative link. And to give you an example of the problem that he was experiencing, so I exported out this page, and when I go to click on those relative links, it actually is trying to go to a page that doesn't actually exist in the file because Tinderbox was thinking that it was exporting out all of the pages as individual pages. So the way to go about doing that which was kind of exciting because as I looked at his response, I immediately started thinking about how I would configure it. And it looks like Eastgate and I were coming up with a similar idea using the ID anchor in HTML. And if you want to learn more about that concept, you can go to W3C Schools, which is a great resource to learn about different elements of HTML. And what the ID anchor allows you to do is to create an internal reference for an HTML element. And then you can use the anchor tag methodology to be able to create a link to that ID within the HTML element. So let me go ahead and show you the solution that I came up with. So here's the Tinderbox file that we have, and let's go ahead and show you an example of I'm linking to the standard HTML page that's in that's in Tinderbox when you go ahead and insert the standard HTML element or template. And when I go ahead and render that page, that template is dutifully executing the page. But if you notice down and we look at the export tab, you'll notice that we're getting those relative references that Tim had noted in the file that he was creating. And so if I just exported this out, if I went up to the file menu and said, let's go ahead and click text. If I go to the file menu and hit export as selected note, if I'm selecting out that note, the page would actually export out as its individual files, and it would export it all out as an individual note. Sorry, but the individual links in the file would get those relative references in them. So let me show you the solution that I came up for that. So first and foremost, let's talk about how we create links within a particular note. And one of the fastest way to do that within Tinderbox is to use the zip link functionality. So for instance, if I were to delete this B link, I can go ahead and start just typing the two brackets, and then I could select the note B, and then that gives me a link to note B. So when I click on that, here I'm at note B. I can now click back to note A. If we want to, I can scroll down, click note B, and go back to and then click on note C. So you can see we can create some internal navigation within a document to make that happen. So that's how we go out create notes. So then how do we help Tinderbox address this internal linking problem? Well, the solution I came up with was actually pretty simple. So what I did is I used some action code that I embedded within the header of both the main page template and the templates that's being used to process the children. It's the exact same code that we on both the templates being used for this particular process. And essentially, what I'm telling Tinderbox to do is I'm saying create a note name and embed the ID in the note, the ID element that we just saw from the WC3 schools. Add the name and replace any spaces. Basically remove all the spaces out of the name. So let's go ahead and go through the rest of the process. Then what I'm doing is I'm telling Tinderbox, hey Tinderbox, I want you to export this note and just render the text with this template I'm calling ttext. And if you're using the export code hat text hat, that tells Tinderbox to export the note and process all the HTML in the process of doing that export. So then what we can do is we go ahead, so export to a variable vtext, the exported string. Then what I want you to do is have Tinderbox, I want you to create a list and extract all of the references to any HTML reference. Now, when I do extract all, my hope was to have Tinderbox only extract the back references as you're seeing here with export code. But essentially, what it seems to be doing is extracting the whole string. And let me show you that in BB Edit. So in BB Edit, I have some example text here of an exported string, and you'll notice within that exported string, where this is an example of a complete exported link, and I'm telling BB Edit to use the regular expression ahref equals, and then I'm saying go and grab me all of the text between the quotes, and so BB Edit is dutifully doing that. So it looks like the extract all operator in Tinderbox is giving me a back reference of 0 and not what the expected back reference of 1, or the hope of giving it back referenced 1. So I'm getting the whole text string back from the extracted note. And you'll notice here that let's say you were in your file manually, if you were to manually put in some of these back references because you knew you wanted to do them in your text. I'm telling my Tinderbox script to ignore any references that you might have manually placed in your text with the with the hashtag. So the way you would actually create a link to an ID, for example, is I would say ahref equals pound note C, and this is essentially telling the your HTML when you click on this link. Oh, and then by the way, to fix that text, let me go ahead and fix that pattern. That pattern would actually look like something like this: Note C, close href, and so that would be our complete link. And so in doing that, what I'm essentially doing is I'm saying Tinderbox, when I click on this link, go to Note C. To the element within this HTML page that would be, say, Note C, for example. So if I click on that, that would take the HTML page to Note C, so, or the element Note C. So what I'm trying to do is mock up this capability. So I'm using a regular expression to capture only those items that are actually within the href and that aren't already internal element note links. So now if I go back to our Tinderbox file, you'll see here what I'm doing then is I'm then going to, because I'm not able to capture the back reference 1, I'm only getting the entire back reference 0. I need to clean up the text a little bit. So I create two additional note variables, link 1 and link 2. And then and then if you notice here with this variable, I'm generating a list. So I'm telling Tinderbox to extract all of the HTML references. So then within that list, I'm telling Tinderbox to operate against that list, take the extracted link, and this, by doing this, using the extract element, I'm actually able to get the specific element that I want, which is that only the elements between the two quotes. And then I'm saying, okay, Tinderbox, I now want you to produce a new link for me where you're going to append the hashtag and then remove the spaces and then remove the HTML element within that link. And then finally, I want you to go ahead and replace the full link. So essentially, I want you to replace all of this with just Note B, and so sans the .html element. So that replace right here is removing the HTML element. So we go ahead and do that. I clear those two out because it's going to operate through this if there's multiple links within the page. And that then basically gives me a text without that with the anchor links all properly coded within the HTML page. So that's what the action code's doing, is essentially creating the HTML element, and then it's creating the HTML anchor links. And then within the text page itself, I'm telling the Tinderbox template to return the name within the tag, so return the name ID element into the title tag of the note, and then I'm telling Tinderbox to uh, replace serve up the text that we properly processed within this action code. So that's the basic solution. So now if I go ahead and change the template that we're using. So let's go just show you again. So in the simple example, we're using the HTML standard template within Tinderbox. Again, when we look at this, we can see that the relative references are being delivered. And as we demonstrated earlier, those links will break. So now if we go back to text and we switch and we show, we get the same preview, but if we look at the export code now, you're going to see that the ID report has been inserted into the names of the, and here in H2, ID note B. If we go up to a note A, an ID note A. So we're starting to see that the ID number was inserted into the HTML. And then if we look at the actual links, you'll note that the HTML ref, the anchor links have just been have been changed with our note B, our note C, our note A links. So we're getting the appropriate export that we wanted to work with. So now, if I go up to HTML file, to Tinderbox, and I go to export as selected note, and I'm going to export this out, replace it. Okay, and now we go back to our HTML page, and we go back, and we hit refresh. Okay, so now when I'm on this report and I go and click on note, let's make the page a little smaller and get note A, the anchor element note A above the page. If we click on note A, you'll see that we jump up. So now I've got linking that internally works within an HTML file. So this is a really nice kind of elegant solution that I enjoy. Now you'll notice that one of the things that I had to do is I had to overwrite my file. I did note one thing when I was working with this example is, let's say I wanted to change this file to like report to version it, and I hit export. I don't know why, and I've posted this up on the Tinderbox forum. For some reason, I can't I can't change the file name within that context. I can't save the file as the same name. Now, if I change this to report to, all right, sorry. If I change this to report to here, and I did that export. Oh, sorry. Let me go back to text. And then I did that export like that. Then I got a report to. It would dutifully export as a report to. If I opened it up, make the page a little smaller again, like we did before, you'll see that the linking's working. So that exporting methodology works. So here's the little kind of bonus that I developed in the model. So using that same concept of export string, I wrote a stamp that essentially creates a draft of the note. And you'll notice here I created an attribute called versioning. So if I apply the stamp to the note and hit apply, what this export is doing is it's actually exporting out the note and creating a draft for me. So, and that draft is all of the fully exported HTML that I have in the note. And so now I can select this and I can give it the right export template that we want to give it, or I could have drafts as an on-add, create a prototype. Those are all different things we can learn within Tinderbox. I now can hit export and export this out, and I export that onto the file, and you'll see now. Okay, so I exported out in this context as there's my the file that I just exported, and we'll see that this new method works. So that works great. And then if we do it again using the drafts functionality, I don't have to worry about changing the name within Tinderbox. I can go back, hit the stamp again. That generates a new draft for me. I now can go and hit export again just to demonstrate that it works. And then we go to the exported file, and we've now got version 5. Whoops. We've now got, and let me go ahead and click on version 5 again. All right, I've now got version 5, scroll up, and you'll see that that works as well. So this is a really fun, nice little demo example of working with Tinderbox and being able to export your notes and getting an internal anchor link. If you liked what you've learned here and you enjoy this kind of going deeper into Tinderbox, I'm not sure if you all may have heard, but I've actually recently launched a what I'm calling the 5C School of Tinderbox Knowledge Management. So let me go ahead and pull that up. Um, and if I go to home, you'll see here, I've launched the 5C School of Personal Knowledge Management, and I'm offering templates and courses within Tinderbox. So if you want to go deeper into Tinderbox, save yourself a lot of time, learning, learn action code, learn templates, and all of the various capabilities of Tinderbox. My next class is coming up on February 28th to April 4th, and I invite you to register and take a class with me. So, and partly is what you'll see here in the class is it's both on demand, so live via Zoom each week for the 6 weeks, or you can get recorded sessions. And in each week, we provide tips and tricks, we provide lessons, we make comments with each other, share sample files, and it's just an exceptional way to learn Tinderbox. And to really get deep and start working on any of your projects. So I hope that Tinderbox overview of how do you create anchor links within your Tinderbox note, you find that inspiring and helpful. And hopefully we'll see you in one of my classes one day. Thank you very much.